Testing. Okay, now there is also another how should I put it, right? Simple but significant topic that we need to deal with before we can actually go to the calculation of GDP, right? That would be on page 18 of your textbook, right? Here, let's talk about GDP at market price versus GDP at factor cost, right? For simplicity, let's call this MP and let's call this FC, right? 好啦，發生咩事呢？ Now, remember, right, according to the circular flow, right, in an ideal world, right, factor cost and market price, they should be of the same number, right? But in reality, remember, government would do some intervention, right? Now, without going into too much complicated details, right? Let's look at this very important formula. OK， 嗱呢條 formula 你一定要記得喎，但係咧唔使背嘅喎，其實好易記嘅啫。OK，now let's start with this, right? Market price. Now how do we obtain? 就記添。Now how do we obtain a market price? Obviously, we need to start with factor cost. 係咪啊？我哋做一樣嘢有 factor cost 噶嘛。Now remember back in the chapter 11 when we talk about tax and subsidy, right? 記住啦。If we impose a so-called per unit tax or for our purpose, any indirect tax, okay, any indirect tax. If you remember, the effect is that price would go up. Market price would go up, right? Now, therefore, if we start with factor cost, and then we also add in indirect tax, right? Indirect tax. So what happens to market price? It should increase, right? Therefore, it is a plus indirect tax. OK， 好嘛？同樣道理啦。If you remember in our chapter 11, if we have a subsidy, the effect is that market price should decrease, right? Now, therefore, if we add in a subsidy, what happens is that market price should go down. Therefore, this is a minus. OK， 好嘛？嗱，遲啲我哋咧去到兩個 approach 會再講噶啦。But remember, expenditure approach at market price, while production approach mostly will be at factor cost. Okay, now don't worry too much. As we look at past paper, they will specify whether it is factor cost or market price. Now, in general, we calculate market price, except in the case when something we clearly know the market price is distorted, which we will look at very soon at one of the questions, right? Now here, let's remember only indirect tax would affect it. So if the question you're given a direct tax, then remember there is no effect on price. More on that when we talk about chapter 21 to 23. OK， 廿一至廿三課我哋會學乜嘢係 direct tax， 乜嘢係 indirect tax 噶啦。OK，so don't worry too much for now. Okay, now let's look at several examples and then we look at one past paper to end this very short video, right? Now, suppose the government levies an indirect tax. Okay, and then a bottle of wine costs 200 after the tax is levied. Okay, after the tax, what does that mean? It means that this is the market price. Okay, 所以我哋計下啦。For each bottle, for each bottle sold, okay, the GDP contribution at market price would be $200. What about at factor cost? Remember, market price equals to factor cost plus, plus indirect tax minus subsidy, right? Okay, this is what we have. Now, here, subsidy is 0. We know indirect tax is $30, right? And this is 200. So we know the GDP at factor cost, okay, of each bottle of wine would be 170. Okay, now consider another example here. Okay, another example here. The price after subsidy. What does that mean? It means that this is a market price. We know that there is a $1,000 subsidy for each unit of vehicles, right? So what does that mean? It means that GDP at market price would be 50K per unit, right? Per unit will be 50K. Now we know market price equals to factor cost plus indirect tax minus subsidy, right? Here, we know there is we are not given any indirect tax, so 0. Well, this is 50K. We know that subsidy in this case is 1K. So we know that factor cost will be 51K. Okay, now don't worry. As we go to the two approaches in the next two videos, next 4 videos actually, right? We will look at more figure examples of how we manipulate these two. But for now, there is one very important question that we need to deal with in your note, and that would be page 9 of your note. Page 9 of your note. This question, 2016, section B, question 11, part A. Okay, now here, you see there is a very short passage, right? The fee charged by public clinics is only $45. OK， 嗱記住啦，係咪？佢話原來啦，而家公立醫院係45蚊。It says much lower than private。OK， 嗱佢俾呢段你係想做啲咩咧 ？OK，remember there is one concept that you need to remember very important, right? Private they follow market force， 私人嘅一定係跟翻市場嘅force。While public, remember they do not follow market force. Okay, 得唔得？ The price set is actually set by the government with the objective of providing service, not earning a profit. Okay, 於是咧佢問啦 ，when a public clinic provides medical service for one patient, okay, the resulting rise in GDP will be 45. Do you agree? Now, this is a very important question, right? The answer is actually no, we do not agree. Now, why? Because we know 45 is a distorted price due to heavy subsidies 你要提到啦 from the government 係政府俾咗好多 subsidy 先至令到個價係45蚊啫。OK， 好嘛 ？The production value, which, if you want to be more specific, i.e., the factor cost, the GDP at factor cost, should be much higher than 45 per patient. Okay, so in reality, obviously, the government knows the factor cost for each patient. So when they calculate GDP, it's not going to be 45, but the actual figure of the factor cost. Okay, again, remember, because any public service would be distorted because of heavy subsidy, 係咪？因為好多 subsidy 啊。So this price 45 is not an accurate measure, right? in order to have the accurate measure of public services, you need to take the factor cost, which should be much higher than 45. Okay. Now, another example. Later on, you will know those subsidized university each year will be this amount per year. 你第時咧讀大學咧，每年學費就呢個啦。So next time the question asks you for each student enrolling in the university, the GDP contribution would be this amount. Do you agree? No. Okay, this is wrong. Okay, it should be much higher than this number because of HSP subsidy, which we also have evidence. If you look at the non-funded 係咪？嗰啲冇資助嗰啲學位啊 ，self-funded, right? You will be talking about each year paying around 200K 係咪啊？差唔多一年成20幾萬啊 ，that would be the true factor cost. Okay, 好嘛 ？So now that we understand the difference between GDP at market price and GDP at factor cost, so the next 4 videos we are going to talk about the 2 approaches to calculate GDP and the respective past paper questions. Okay, see you very soon in the next 4 videos then. Bye bye.